Okay, today we are going to do application of Gauss's law. What are we going to do? In the application, electric field due to an infinite line of charge. So suppose we are having a wire carrying a positive charge, okay, all over it. This is an infinitely long wire. I'll tell you what is the meaning of infinitely long. We are not going to take a wire that extends to infinity, but what is the meaning of infinitely long? I'll tell you. Okay, but before that, what are we going to find out? Because of this infinitely long wire, we are going to find out electric field intensity at a distance r from this wire at a point P. Now we know the electric field at a distance r from a point charge Q. It is given by E equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught r square, right? We know that, but because of an infinite line of charge, what will be the electric field at a point P at a distance r from it? First of all, we cannot know what is Q, because Q is not the same. You cannot calculate Q for an infinite line of charge. So what we can do is we can find charge per unit length of the wire. Charge per unit length of the wire. We denote it with lambda, and that is given by Q by L. Okay, what is L? We will get to know that there is the length of a Gaussian surface. We will calculate we will draw a Gaussian surface, and we will take its length to be equal to L. But we have to, so here for calculating the electric field intensity at a distance r from it, we have to draw a Gaussian surface. Now what kind of Gaussian surface are we going to draw? We have done in our previous lecture of Gauss's law that Gaussian surface has certain characteristics, or certain properties. The Gaussian surface should be a 3D surface. You may write it down, the properties. Gaussian surface should be a 3D surface. Second, it should enclose the charge, but the charge should not pass through the Gaussian surface. Any charge should not pass through the Gaussian surface. Should not pass through the Gaussian surface. Third is an important property, that the Gaussian surface should be symmetric about the charge distribution. That will decide you what kind of surface I'm going to draw, whether I'll draw a cone, whether I will draw a sphere, because it has to be 3D surfaces like sphere, like cube. So what surface I'm going to draw? So Gaussian surface is symmetric about the charge distribution. That is an important property. Gaussian surface has to be symmetric about the charge distribution. Okay. And fourth important property is the Gaussian surface, the electric field intensity at every point on the Gaussian surface, electric field at all points on the Gaussian surface should be constant, or electric field should be symmetric about the Gaussian surface, or at all points on the Gaussian surface should be constant. Should be constant. Okay, now taking these 4 points, and another point you can add, the angle between electric field and area vector. Okay, angle between electric field and area vector should be 0 degree or 90 degree. Okay, angle between. Now this, if you apply, then only you can apply the Gauss's law over that surface. So here, for an infinite line of charge, the Gaussian surface is a cylindrical surface. Okay, we draw a cylinder. Okay, the Gaussian surface is a cylindrical surface. Now this cylinder has a radius r and a length L. So for per unit length inside the cylinder, the charge is lambda. Charge per unit length is Q by L. What do you mean by that? For 1 unit length, the charge is lambda coulomb. For 2 units of length, the charge is 2 lambda coulomb. For L units of length, the charge is L lambda coulomb. Okay? Q equal to L lambda for L units of length. Means for the entire cylinder, inside this cylinder, the charge is Q, that is given by lambda L. For 1 meter of length, the charge is lambda. For 2 meter of length, the charge is 2 lambda. For 3 meter of length, the charge is 3 lambda. For L meter of length, the charge is L lambda. L into lambda, that is equal to Q. So inside this Gaussian cylinder, not the entire wire, only inside this Gaussian cylinder, the charge is Q, that is given by lambda into L. Or charge per unit length of the wire, any point on the wire, the charge per unit length is given by Q by L. Okay. So this is it, and now we will do the derivation. We will apply Gauss's law over this. You can see if I take any point on this, any area, any surface element on this curved surface. Now how many surface do a cylinder has? A cylinder has, this is the one surface. So this is second plane end, 2 plane ends and 1 curved surface. Okay, 1 curved surface. Now, what is the direction of the electric field for this infinite line of charge? For this infinite line of charge, what will be the direction of the electric field? It will be like this. Outward, okay? Directed outward from the positive charge. Electric field is always outward from a positive charge. Radially outward from a positive charge. Okay, this is the direction of the electric field in this direction as well. So if I take a surface element at the plane end, then what is the direction of the area vector? In this direction for the plane end. And what is the direction of the electric field? In this direction. So in this direction. So what is the angle between them? 90 degree. So this is the direction of E and this is the direction of DA. The angle between them is 90 degree. Similarly, for the plane end 2, if I take a plane end over here, if I take a small surface element, the direction of DA is outward drawn normal. We all know that area is a vector quantity. Its direction is along the outward drawn normal to the surface. So this is the direction of DA and this is the direction of E. Okay, so for these two elements, surface elements, if I have to find the electric flux passing through these two surface elements, what will be the electric flux? E dot dA. Okay, suppose for this plane end 1, okay, E dot dA, that is EDA cos 90. Okay, that is cos 90 is 0, so 0. Similarly, d phi 2 is 0. Okay. Now for this curved surface, I use this property, electric field at all points on the Gaussian surface should be constant. So for this curved surface, you can see every point on the curved surface is at the same distance r from the line wire. From the line of charge, every point on the Gaussian surface, every point on the curved surface is at the same distance r wherever you go. Okay. So, if I take a small surface element, the direction of the area vector is in this direction and the direction of the electric field is also in this direction. It's an infinitely long wire, positively charged. The electric field is radially outward. So, E is also in this direction. If I take another small area element over here, surface element, then dA being a vector quantity is in this direction, outward drawn normal to the surface, and E is also in this direction. Okay, so I find out the total electric flux through the entire cylinder. That will give me d phi 1 plus d phi 2 integration of, sorry, not closed surface, plus integration of d phi 3. Now these two are 0, d phi 1 and d phi 2 for 1 and 2 surfaces, plus if integration of d phi 3 I do, then integration of E dot dA that is integration of E dA cos 0. Now E will come out of the integration sign dA cos 0. Why E has come out of the integration sign? Because E is constant at all points on the Gaussian surface. Electric field intensity is constant at all points on the Gaussian surface. Okay, so E dA cos 0, that is the property of a Gauss's law, that of the Gaussian surface, that electric field should be constant or same at all points on the Gaussian surface. So E dA, and what will be dA? I take it over here. What will be dA? Integration of dA will be 2 pi RL. 2 pi r is the circumference of this and L being the length of the cylinder. So 2 pi RL. So E into 2 pi RL, that is the total flux. And by Gauss's law, that is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Okay, the flux passing through a Gaussian surface is Q by epsilon naught. How we are going to find out Q? Q is equal to lambda L, where lambda is the charge per unit length of the wire. So if I write here lambda L by epsilon naught, E into 2 pi RL is equal to Q by epsilon naught equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. L and L goes. Okay. So E is equal to, I write it over here, E is equal to lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught R. This is what you are getting the value of the electric magnitude of the electric field intensity at a distance r from an infinite line wire carrying a charge, carrying a positive charge. Okay, and the direction, if I have to write the direction in terms of direction, then lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught r into r cap. Okay, so E, electric field intensity, is in the direction of r. Okay, for a positive charge. Had it been a negative charge, it would have been in this direction towards the wire. Okay, so this is for an infinite line of charge. So here it has gone. This is the portion of this is the calculation that you have to do over here by applying Gauss's law. E into 2 pi RL, that is E dA, and that is equal to Q by epsilon naught, and Q is equal to lambda L by epsilon naught. L and N gets cancelled. So E is equal to lambda by 2 pi R epsilon naught. So here you can see, as the distance is increasing from the wire, the electric field intensity keeps on decreasing. As the distance r is increasing, E is inversely proportional to r. So as the distance r is increasing, so electric field intensity is decreasing. So electric field intensity depends depending upon the distance from the infinitely long wire. Okay, next we are going to do electric field due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. An infinite plane sheet of charge. So we are taking an infinite. Okay, what do I mean by this infinitely long wire or infinite plane sheet of charge? When I'm saying it is an infinitely long wire, it means that it is not extending up to infinity. It means that it is at a distance. The distance at which the electric field intensity is required is small compared to the length of the wire. Then only this equation will be valid. Okay, this distance is small compared to the length of the wire. That is the meaning of infinitely long wire. Similarly, we are going to take an infinite plane sheet of charge. So what is it? Electric field due to an infinite plane sheet of charge. We take an infinitely long plane sheet of charge, sheet of positive charge. Okay, and this plane sheet, it is two-dimensional. Okay, it's a sheet, it is a plate. Infinite plane sheet of charge, it's a plate of charge, so it is two-dimensional. Okay, And we have to find electric field intensity at a distance r from it. Now mind that this sheet of charge is non-conducting. Had it been conducting, then the charge would have been distributed on both sides of the sheet. But as a non-conducting sheet of charge, the charge is distributed only on one side of the sheet. Okay, so we have to find the electric field intensity at a distance r from this sheet of charge. Fine. So what we are going to do, we have to draw a Gaussian surface. Okay, so if we have to draw a Gaussian surface, what will be the Gaussian surface? Now if we have to find the electric field intensity at this point, we also have to find the electric field intensity at the other point at a distance r from this center of the sheet. Okay, to maintain symmetry. Okay, so we also have to find electric field intensity at this point. Then only there will be, because Gauss's law is all about, Gaussian surface is all about symmetry. So we also have to find electric field intensity at this point. Then only, so we take a cylinder. The Gaussian surface for a plane sheet will be a cylinder. Okay, so we take a cylinder like this. Okay, Gaussian surface should always be drawn with a dotted line and at equal distance from the center to both sides. Okay, r, equal distance from the center. If this is r, then from here, from the center to this point is also r. Okay, and this is the cylinder which is passing through. Okay, now electric field intensity due to a plane sheet of charge, since it is a positively charged plate, the electric field will be in this direction. E will be in this direction. Okay. Here also, since it's a positively charged plate, the electric field intensity will be in this direction. E will be in this direction. Now, how many surfaces for a cylinder? 2 plane surfaces, 1 and 2, and 1 curved surface, that is 3. The electric field intensity for the plane surface is perpendicular to the plane, okay, or in the direction of the area vector. The area vector, if I take a small element over here on the plane surface, then dA and E are in the same direction. If I take a small element over dA over here, then dA and E are in the same direction. Okay. For the curved surface, here the case is different. For the curved surface, you can see dA is in this direction and E is in this direction. The angle between them is 90 degrees. Okay, so now since it's a Gaussian surface, the electric field intensity is same at all points on the curved surface. Okay, and here it is EDA, E and dA are in the same direction. So we will find out d phi 1 for this surface. D phi 1 will be E dot dA, that is EDA cos 0 degree, that is EDA. Similarly, d phi 2 will be E dot dA, that is EDA cos 0 degree, that is EDA. And d phi 3 for the curved surface is E dot dA, EDA cos 90 degree, that is 0. Okay, cos 90 is 0. Now we cannot find the charge on the entire infinitely long sheet of charge. We cannot calculate the entire charge over here. So what we can do, we find charge per unit area or surface charge density, charge per unit area, and that is denoted with sigma. Sigma is equal to Q by A, where A is the area of the plane ends. A is the area of the plane ends. Okay, so here the total flux will be equal to integration of d phi 1 plus integration of d phi 2 plus integration of d phi 3. Integration of d phi 1 is integration of EDA, integration of d phi 2 is integration of EDA, and integration of d phi 3, this will come out to be 0. So E being a constant, E integration over dA plus E integration over dA. Integration of dA, what is the area of this plane end? A I have taken. So EA plus EA, that is equal to 2EA. Fine. And by Gauss's law, now you apply Gauss's law. By Gauss's law, phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So 2EA is equal to Q by epsilon naught. In the place of Q, what can I write? Sigma A. So sigma A by epsilon naught. So E is equal to A and A gets cancelled. So E is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So this beautiful thing over here is that you can see at points close to the surface, the electric field intensity does not depend upon distance. At points close, of course, when it moves away from the sheet of charge, at far off points, the electric field intensity will keep on decreasing. But at points close to the surface, the electric field intensity is independent of R. It's constant at points closer to the infinite sheet of charge. Okay, that's why we take an infinite sheet of charge. Okay, so at points close to the sheet, the electric field intensity is constant. It is independent of R. Okay, in our next lecture, we'll be doing numericals and we'll be doing electric field due to two infinite parallel sheets of charge. Okay, and we'll be doing numericals on this. This is all about the application of Gauss's law for today. Okay, thank you.